Today, my girlfriend texted me saying she didn't know I had such a charming brother, and a twin, no less. It turns out she had just stopped by my place, not knowing I was stuck at work late into the night, and he greeted her there. He introduced himself, offered her coffee, shared a few funny childhood stories, and walked her to the elevator. I have no idea how to tell her that I don't have a brother. I got lost in the forest. I wandered for a long time, and eventually at dusk I stumbled upon a cabin. There was no one inside, so I decided to go to sleep. But I couldn't fall asleep for a long time because portraits of some people were hanging on the walls, and it seemed to me that they were looking at me ominously. Eventually, I fell asleep from exhaustion. In the morning I was awakened by the bright sunlight. There were no pictures on the walls, they were windows. I decided to spend a day and night alone in the deep forest. I wasn't afraid because I had gone camping many times before. All day I photographed trees and grasses with my film camera, and in the evening I settled down to sleep in my little tent. The night passed peacefully. The horror came only a few days later. All 4 rolls of film developed into great photos, except for the last shot. In every picture, it was me, peacefully sleeping in my tent in the darkness of the night. About 5 years ago, late at night, I was awakened by 4 short rings at my door. Annoyed, I didn't bother to answer since I wasn't expecting anyone. The next night, the same thing happened, 4 rings. I looked through the peephole, but no one was there. The following day, I told the story to some friends, joking that maybe death had the wrong door. On the 3rd night, a friend came over and stayed late. The doorbell rang again, but I pretended not to notice, thinking I might be imagining things. But my friend heard it too. After hearing my story, he exclaimed, "Let's see who's playing these pranks," and ran outside. That was the last time I saw him. No, he didn't disappear. On his way home, he was attacked by a drunken gang and died in the hospital. The ringing stopped after that. I was reminded of this story because last night I heard 3 short rings at the door. My friend's great-grandmother passed away. Her apartment in the center of the city was rented out to a young man they knew. One day, my friend and I went to visit him to collect the rent and chat. I noticed a pair of pliers lying by the bathroom door and another in the bathroom itself. We laughed, wondering why he needed 2 pairs of pliers in the bathroom. But he became serious and started to explain, "The old lady is driving me crazy." It turned out that whenever he was home alone, he couldn't use the bathroom or toilet without the pliers because the lock would jam. Strangely, when guests or his girlfriend were around, everything worked just fine. This was already the 3rd lock he had installed. He had changed it twice, but the problem persisted. The old lady also made a habit of rattling the dishes, walking around sighing and groaning. After a while, he moved out of the apartment. Although he was a strong guy, he couldn't handle it anymore after the old lady started lying down next to him in bed, tossing and turning and sighing. So he moved out. I'm walking home from university, listening to music on my headphones. I stop at a traffic light, waiting for the red light to change, and I'm trying to find a way to step down onto the road more comfortably. The sidewalk is covered in snow, and the road is clear, forming a small hill that's about knee-high. The light turns green, and without looking around, I step down onto the road with a slight rush. Suddenly I feel someone grab my collar and pull me back onto the sidewalk just as a bus whizzes by right in front of me. It all happens in a split second. Back on the sidewalk, I turn around to thank whoever saved me, but there's no one there. The intersection is completely empty. It happened at night. My cat was sleeping at my feet as usual, and I had also fallen asleep. Suddenly, I woke up with a very unsettling feeling, something between fear and cold. I opened my eyes and was about to get up since I couldn't sleep, but then I caught my cat's gaze, a warning look directed at me with his ears pinned back, staring at something nearby. I followed his gaze and saw a huge, foggy grey but solid-looking creature creeping across the room. It had something like a face with closed eyes. It was moving towards the window, hands extended in front of it, like a person feeling their way in the dark. I was so terrified that I couldn't even scream. Then the creature seemed to sense being watched, slowly turned around and clearly started sniffing the air. At that moment, my cat suddenly dug his claws into my leg with all his might, and I shifted my gaze to him. The creature immediately lost interest, continued to the window, and disappeared. The cat soon fell asleep again, but I shivered in bed until morning, too scared to even get up and turn on the light. A 12-year-old girl lived with her father. They had a wonderful relationship. One day, her father told her that he would be working late and would come home very late at night. The girl waited for him, waited, and eventually fell asleep. She had a strange dream. Her father was standing on the other side of a busy highway, shouting something to her. She could barely make out the words, "Don't open the door." Suddenly the girl woke up to the sound of the doorbell ringing. She jumped out of bed, ran to the door and looked through the peephole, seeing her father's face. She was about to unlock the door when she remembered the dream. And something was off about her father's face. She hesitated. The doorbell rang again. "Dad? Ding, ding, ding. Dad, answer me. Ding, ding, ding. Is someone there with you? Ding, ding, ding. Dad, why aren't you answering?" The girl was on the verge of tears. "Ding, ding, ding. I won't open the door until you answer me." The doorbell kept ringing and ringing, but her father remained silent. The girl sat huddled in the corner of the hallway. This went on for about an hour before she finally fell into a daze. At dawn, she woke up and realized the ringing had stopped. She crept up to the door and looked through the peephole again. Her father was still standing there, staring directly at her. The girl cautiously opened the door and screamed. Her father's severed head was nailed to the door at eye level with the peephole. Attached to the doorbell was a note with just 2 words: "Smart girl,